Please welcome Director of Sales and Business Development for WSWA, Molly Fontaine.
The global non-alcoholic spirits sector is growing, according to our industry analysts, and is estimated to be worth $271 billion by 2023. While it's covered by several companies, one has really set itself apart from the pack: Ritual Zero Proof.
Hi, everybody. Let's move in. How you guys doing? I'm Marcus Saki. I'm the one of the founders of Ritual Zero Proof. Ritual Zero Proof began because I love a good cocktail. We are not anti-alcohol. I just wanted to be able to have it however I wanted it. Before we get into it too far, I'd love to get a sense, how many people here are operators? Distributors? I'm getting jaded nods. The reason non-alcoholic spirits are important is because the world's relationship to alcohol is changing. 52% of Americans are actively trying to drink less. 30% don't drink at all. And of course, everybody's well familiar with Gen Z's feelings on alcohol. It is the generation with the least interest in alcohol in recorded history, according to Gallup. We're already seeing that impact on the space, and only a third of Gen Z is of drinking age. Non-alcoholic options, like Ritual Zero Proof, are the answer to that. It's not about an or, it's not a less, it's an and. Ritual is made from natural ingredients. It tastes and smells and has the bite of spirits, and you use it in exactly the same way. The same recipe, nothing changes except that one ingredient. That's because we are not anti-alcohol. We're pro-options. We just feel like you should be able to have as many margaritas as you like, whenever you like. It really comes down to a thing as simple as this. Every grocery store sells dairy alternative. Every coffee shop serves dairy alternative. That's never going away. That's not going to change. And in the next 10 years, every retailer and every restaurant is going to sell non-alcoholic options. And you can see that in the numbers. This is via Nielsen. Last year, the category was valued at $500 million. Still small in the scale of alcohol. Alcohol in the United States in 2022 was $260 billion. So we got a ways to go. The more important thing is seeing the shape of that chart. It is estimated by IWSR that the non-alcoholic drink space will make up 4% of alcohol by 2027. It's a handful of years from now, at which point it's a $3.5 billion category. The larger projection, though, is that within a decade, it's going to be a 10 to 12% share of alcohol. Alcohol is not going away, and it shouldn't, and that would make me very sad if it did. This is about additional optionality. And that's because non-alcoholic consumers are valuable. Our products, frankly, can't stay on the shelf. The easiest way to make more revenue in your establishment or in your account is to start selling non-alc, particularly because if you start with a carefully curated selection, obviously I'm going to suggest Ritual Zero Proof, but it doesn't have to be. You don't need to do the whole thing, right? You just need a small, thoughtful selection. And within that, people start to look for it. They start to treat it as the item they always put in the cart. Or in a liquor space, which is where we sell better than any, you're already in a discovery mindset. You came in looking for a new bourbon, you wanted to try a different tequila. Hey, what's that non-alcoholic tequila alternative? All right, I know what that is. I know what to do with it. So 89% of our retailers reorder inside 6 months. You'll also see that we're simply making money for everyone who is selling. And my favorite part of that is that plus $292. That's based off Nielsen's work, and that is the value, the additional value of a household that drinks non-alc as well as alc. In other words, non-alc makes money. We're not taking money from liquor, we are adding money to it. And these are, in fact, your most valuable customers. To underscore that point, I want to say that our sole strategic investor is Diageo. We are very much an additive, incremental product. And everyone that picks up non-alc sees that. So, why sell non-alc? Pretty straightforward. In the on-premise space, non-alc is a simple turnkey solution. You don't need any special training if you curate your list carefully. You don't need a whole range of new ingredients. You simply and immediately raise your ring total. With Ritual, one of the reasons we made it the way that we did was we really wanted to emphasize a one-to-one swap. The exact same recipe. Everything that your bartender already makes, everything that's already a favorite, now you can make non-alcoholic. Because our most common consumer is the substituter. They have one, they go to another. Or they have two leaded old fashions, and then they move into non-alcs to stay out and say cheers and be there a little bit longer. Give you an example of that. This is the practical side of it. When my wife was pregnant, before Ritual existed, I tried everything to make her something that was a cocktail. And I was muddling mint and I was squeezing limes, and at the end, I had minty lime juice. It wasn't a cocktail. But it didn't stop me from pouring one for myself. And that's the way you need to think of it. That same couple goes out to dinner. She deserves a sophisticated beverage. She needs something better than having her Diet Coke refilled all night. And instead of having one drink and then closing out, he can move over to a non-alc. Same restaurant, same menu order, same everything, but easily 30% increase in ring total. On the tactical front, the way to implement non-alcoholic is to keep it simple. Simplicity was built into our brand premise from the beginning, right down to the name. I made Ritual because when I took a break from drinking for a little while, I realized that more than anything, what I was missing was the act of making a drink and marking a moment with it, right? You measure and you pour and you make a beautiful cocktail and you sit down with a cocktail and a book. We recommend the same thing. Ritual is a one-to-one replacement, and we recommend that you stick to the basic recipes. It absolutely can be enjoyed neat and on the rocks, but you're going to be able to tell the difference. I'm not going to tell this room that you won't. But you pour gin and tonic, I will sell that. I'll take the Pepsi challenge with a gin and tonic all day long. So simple serve strategies, familiar beverages. Excuse me. It's hot up here. Within that, menu placements are just a great tactical choice. Anytime you put something on the menu, you know that it moves. We find a 300% velocity lift when it's put on the menu. But more important, you're communicating to everyone who attends, who comes to the restaurant, who comes to the convention, who is served by your account, that you see them, right? That person isn't drinking today, this week, ever again. You're not going to tell them, you got to make do with iced tea. Within the menus, as with everything else, simplicity pays. A better way to look at it is this one, though. This is how we recommend putting it on menus. First and best choice is called out on its own, a zero-proof cocktail menu. Very closely behind that is integrating it into your cocktail menu. So you can either have a separate page or just a separate section that is showing it. But the simplest way that a lot of venues are doing is simply putting a bug on a sticker. All cocktails can be made non-alcoholic with Ritual Zero Proof, or highlight the ones that you like best. Within that, you're communicating to the customer that it's there, you're spreading awareness of it, and you're letting them feel seen and included. We die here? Within the on-premise space in particular, but also off-premise and in the demo situations, education is always helpful. It's always going to make a difference. The point of Ritual is that it's very easy to use, very easy to work with. You don't really need it, but we think it's important to offer it to all of our partners, to work very closely with them. A simple 15-minute staff training increases volume sale in a restaurant off the charts. But we also can help you at a higher level than that. If you're interested in moving into non-alc, adding it to your store, to your menu, to your catalog, we can help you decide how to do it. We can help you curate the list. We were the first on the United States market, but since then 73 brands have come up behind us, and we are happy to help you navigate that water. Let me start with Ritual. And this is really the thing. It is so rare in business to have an opportunity where it is literally everyone wins, all the way down the line, from the distributor to the retailer to the bar manager to the mixologist who's getting tipped on a couple of gin and tonics instead of refilling iced tea all night, and all the way down, most importantly, to your customer who is seen and covered and represented. So, you'll have to forgive me, my business partner was supposed to be here with us, but he had a questionable chicken sandwich yesterday that he ate anyway, and he is now filled with regret. So at this point, I'd rather kind of just turn it over to conversation, answer any questions you have. Yes, sir.
So, how different is your retailers and your distribution process compared to alcoholic drinks?
It is exactly the same. As with everything else, we really wanted to make the process simple and familiar. So we are distributed through 3-tier. We also have a number of other solutions if necessary because we're non-alcoholic, right? So there are things we can do that spirits are limited on. But the goal was to make it a simple and streamlined process all the way down the chain. Yes?
Question. Do you have any problems with transportation since there's no alcohol? Does it freeze? And
I'm sorry, would you?
challenges with transportation, distribution? So since there's no alcohol, does the product freeze when you're transporting it?
That's a good question and a thing we had to discover the hard way. We do not have any troubles with transportation, but the product will freeze. So it's just handled usually in full truckloads and a minimal level of climate control. It doesn't need to be handled daintily. In our e-com business, which is a significant portion of what we do, there's always a week in January we overwork our customer service, making sure everybody gets bottles back for the ones that froze and broke. But it's a very small percentage of business, even in e-com, and it's not a factor at all in the real world.
Question. Do you feel like there's a difference between using zero-proof cocktail versus mocktail? I've heard there's some negativity around the word mocktail. It's like infantilizing or juvenile or something like that.
Yeah, I'm a word guy. I was a novelist before I started doing this, so yeah, I have opinions. I don't like the term mocktail. I don't think that it is respecting either the drink or the drinker enough. That said, we're kind of stuck with it at this point, so it's not a thing that we fight. I just enjoy making fun of it on stage. I think zero proof works very well. I think non-alcoholic works very well. If you were planning a menu, I would lean towards those over mocktails. Just think of what you'd want to order. You know, I mean, can I have a Shirley Temple? My daughter drinks those. Oh, right.
Hey, wondering if you found an opportunity in, say, like the larger sport venues or music venues where there's a cutoff with alcohol, like, say, an hour before
Yes.
the show ends or something like that?
Yes, it's a really exciting time. We're just now moving into that. I mean, within this space, obviously, it's still a young, growing space. $500 million in this house is not a thing. But within that, in that 4 years, ritual has grown to lead the category, and so we really think it's important to take that category leadership all the way and really make sure that we're providing that high level of support in those venues. So we just launched with Dallas Cowboy Stadium. We're in discussion with a few other venues like that. I think the concert space is just a slam dunk when we can do a larger, when we can have the conversation to do it properly, right? So it's in many concert venues in the, in the small scale. But to do it on a broad national level, especially frankly with the popularization of weed and the legalization of weed, people still want something in their hand. They just don't necessarily want to double down on it.
Thanks.